Welcome to Purely Prabhupada, Ancient Truths for the Upliftment of the Modern World. I'm Alexis. Here with me is Comrade Devi Dasi, also known as Dr. Karen Silberstein. We're here continuing the introductory series to Purely Prabhupada. In our first video, you confirmed by logic that we are not these bodies that we're living in. You said that this is a fundamental principle to understanding spiritual life. Well, if we're not these bodies that we're living in, then who are we?
We're actually pure consciousness, pure spirit soul. We come from the eternal spiritual kingdom where we enjoy ongoing relationships, ongoing loving relationships with the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. When we come to this world, we take on different coverings. We take on a material body with which you're familiar: bones, blood, skin, hair, nails, all that good stuff. And we also take on different layers of subtle bodies. Sometimes people in the modern world will call that astral body or mental body or emotional body or causal body, but that can all be summarized by the Vedic understanding of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So then all our time and effort gets taken up caring for the body, trying to appease the mind, protecting the false ego. And there's not only no education out there that we're not these layers, but there's no knowledge how to care for ourselves, the soul, and there's not even an awareness that it's necessary. A good analogy would be a bird in a cage, a lovely bird, a designer cage. And what if we just polished the cage, took care of the cage, and neglected the bird? So the analogy, of course, is that the bird is the soul and the cage is the covering layers. And if we only take care of the physical body and the subtle covering layers, then the bird dies. There's no nourishment, there's no happiness. So without caring for the soul, then we can't thrive.
That's so true. You said that all of us have an eternal, loving relationship with God. Can you tell us more about the nature of the soul?
The soul is described in the Sanskrit as Sat, Chit, and Ananda, or eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. By nature, we're pleasure seeking. And the kingdom of God, this pleasure is always increasing, but we chose to come to this material world to try to enjoy the flickering pleasures of this realm. We do seek eternal, loving relationships, and we're meant to participate in this type of relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to our unique relationship with Him. But in this world, we're trying to experience relationships, and we may have a greater or lesser degree of success. But even the best relationships of this world still end at the time of death. We're eternal by nature. We don't die when the body dies, but we continue on to different experiences in different types of bodies according to our desires and our past deeds.
That makes sense. There are many people who admit to feeling displaced or disoriented in the world. They feel like they don't fit in no matter how hard they try or what they do. They just aren't happy. Why is this?
Our experience in this world is disorienting. It's like taking a fish out of water. You take it out of its element, it can't be happy. You can take a fish out of water, you can feed it all sorts of nice things. You can put it to bed in satin bed sheets. You can take it to the opera. But it's out of its element. It's just never going to be happy. It's never going to be content. And the same as the soul. The amenities of this world are never going to satisfy it. The pursuit of worldly pleasures makes for confusion, it makes for frustration, and that's simply because the material world is not our home.
You're absolutely right. If the soul is pleasure seeking, and so many people find that their greatest pleasure comes from serving others, how does this service relate to the nature of the soul?
Our nature is to serve. It's actually hardwired in. It's dharmic, to use that Sanskrit term, which means that it's our nature. We serve pets, we serve our families, we serve employees, we serve employers, we serve different social causes. But to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and those who serve Him is the perfection of our service. And actually, it's very satisfying because the Lord reciprocates with us very, very kindly. Now, this puts a whole new aspect on the issue of humanitarian efforts because if we don't consider the needs of the soul and we're only addressing the outer coverings as we discussed, it's the same as diving into a pond where somebody's drowning to save them, ripping their coat off them, and returning to shore going, I saved him, I saved him. Because we've missed the person, we've missed the soul under those coverings. So the aspect of the soul has to be considered in any real humanitarian work.
Absolutely. For someone who's interested about the nature of the soul, where can they go to learn more?
This is Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's the foundational book, the formal introduction to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And on the subject we've been discussing today, there's some very relevant verses from chapter 2, and I'd like to share some of them with you. This is text 13. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Text 20 in the same chapter, chapter 2. For the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. And then chapter 2, verse 22, a little more insight. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up old and useless ones. So we're eternal spirit souls for whom death is unnatural. It's a foreign concept. That's why death is so fearful. It's so disconcerting. We're in an unnatural position in this world. We're not meant for death, but in this world it can't be avoided. So the books that we're presenting at purelyprabhupada.com will show us the way out of our unnatural position.
This is so wonderful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
If you are interested in the subject matter of this video and would like to learn more, please visit purelyprabhupada.com. Ancient Truths for the Upliftment of the Modern World.